What happened to the GOP in this election this month was clearly about affordability and missing the mark. So where do things go from here? Trump, we talked about it in the last segment, he does not want to talk about affordability, and you could block data, but people know what their lives cost.
So here's the thing. I want to give, again, a sentence I very rarely use. I'm going to give Republicans and Democrats, but Republicans some credit. People have been talking about affordability for years. I think smart local Republicans have always talked about affordability. But what ends up happening is when the economy is relatively stable, people can be distracted by other issues, immigration, trans issues, gay rights, blah, 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 because my bills are paid. Once your bills are not getting paid, suddenly you care a lot less about a lot of those social issues. That's what we saw happen 2 weeks ago, right? The economic situation has gotten so dire for people that the kind of cultural cleavages that used to drive them to vote are not necessarily manifesting. What this is going to mean long term, I always say this, the biggest indicator as to how midterm elections are going to work, Thanksgiving holiday. And I think I actually said this with you like a year ago. You look at the polls after Thanksgiving. When everybody gets together, you make your own economic assessment. First off, who's not here this year because they can't afford to go? How much food do we have compared to last year? And when you talk to your sons, your daughters, your nieces and nephews, how confident are they when they're going to graduate in the spring, right? Are they making decisions about what schools they're going to go to because I don't know if mom and dad are going to have their job next year? The way Americans are going to feel after this Thanksgiving is going to completely determine what the midterms look like, and people are not happy.
I shouldn't just blame corruption and Republicans, because the fact of the matter is we've never gotten any regulation on on any of the social media platforms because lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have their pockets lined by all of these companies and their lobbyists every day and yesterday and tomorrow.
And we as regular people are paying. And I will say this because AI is bad enough. Like I said, it's basically a theft machine. I deal with it in the classroom. Everybody deals with it. But as a regular voter, it's the data centers. The data centers are
Explain this.
So data centers, so everybody thinks that what's on your phone is in this magical cloud. It's not in a magical cloud. There is a physical building that has to actually hold all of this information together. And those things are becoming necessary for crypto, for AI, for ChatGPT. And it's the modern day NIMBY, right? Everybody wants to be able to have the cloud for thousands of pictures of their kids, but nobody wants a data center. Why? Because they're expensive. The elections that we just saw in Georgia where Public Service Commission had some of the highest turnout, it's because people's energy bills are going up. They're trying to put 3 data centers. I live in Maryland. There's a fight with the governor right now, a big blue Democratic governor who's saying we should bring them in here, and people are saying no. It's going to drive up our energy costs. It's an environmental impact. Usually these data centers have to steal water from local reservoirs to cool the system while you're processing this information. So I agree with you, Stephanie. AI, a lack of regulation is bad enough, but the downstream, no pun intended, economic and environmental impact is something that no one's discussing.
Let me pick this one up because I think like what I want to notice around the table here is there's a lot of anti-AI sentiment from white-collar workers. Notice white-collar workers. Whose jobs are at risk here? White-collar workers. What's AI going to do if you think about the economic impact? It makes what you and I and Ben does. It does it more cheaply. That's bad for yours and my wages. But it also means the price of what we create is going to go down. And do you know who gains from that? Blue-collar workers. Look, if you were willing to cheer robots taking over the auto sector in the 1970s, which hurt blue-collar workers and left white-collar workers able to afford cars, then we should be just as happy now to see yours and my careers being threatened.
Donald Trump is pressuring Ukraine's President Zelensky to accept his proposal on this peace deal with Russia. Okay, by Thanksgiving, the plan includes basically not all the Russian demands, but like a whole lot of them, like Ukraine giving up a lot of territory they haven't even lost yet. We're already seeing some Republicans come out against this. What is your take on this?
It's not going to happen, and it's not going to be enforced. This is what makes it so crazy. So I've done a lot of research on this and want some sort of foreign analysis one way or another. Not only does this sound like a Kremlin wish list, right, but a lot of the things that these demands are already in there. Ukraine is already not in NATO, right? They're not going to join NATO. Some of the defense things that they're asking for already exist. Like, it is a silly list. Also, Thanksgiving means nothing to Zelensky. Like, that date doesn't have any particular meaning for him one way or another. I don't think that anything is going to happen that Trump threatened. And what's key, and we understand this about the great negotiator that the president is, he said, yes, Thanksgiving is the deadline, but if we're making progress, we'll continue to talk about it.
Same thing we've heard post-Liberation Day with all the trade negotiations.
Exactly. He's going to fold.
Politically speaking, Jason, I get the political calculus of why you want to go after Bill Clinton. I'm not arguing it. I see it. But on what grounds would you say, I'm going to go after Bill Clinton and protect Ghislaine Maxwell? This is the part of the trade that I don't get.
It's because they desperately need to change the story to being about Democrats. Like, if you remember, this whole thing, we're going to release the Epstein files by Trump when he was running for president, was because everybody assumed that it was going to be Bill Clinton who got exposed, right? That's what the MAGA, that's what the QAnon Pizzagate people
But Democrats are willing to say, let Bill Clinton get exposed. Let anybody get exposed. It's about the victims.
But see, that's the thing. Epstein has never been about Democrats because Democrats have never had a problem, like you said, with convicting their own people. This is an internal circular firing squad amongst MAGA. It is MAGA people who are upset. It's MAGA people who are concerned. Because if you're a Democrat, if you haven't voted for Trump in any of the last 16 years worth of elections, it is baked into the cake that you think he is a sexual abuser. Whether it's grabbing women by their body parts, whether it's doing things to his first wife, whether it's going into dressing rooms, you already think that's who Donald Trump is. This is about people who are true believers, who are disappointed, and they are desperate to turn it into a Democrat problem rather than Ghislaine Maxwell or anybody else.